So, for the seventh year running, I'm joined by Duarte to cover the Academy Awards, or as it is known this year, Conclave in LA. Duarte, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me yet again.
7 years, huh? Getting it wrong, as always. We always think that this episode, we always use it as a way to also revisit or reflect upon 2024 very deep. And I'll start by asking you your take on 2024, the movies that made or break, and the year overall.
For the most part, I felt like the year actually wasn't that good in comparison to previous years. I mean, there were some incredible gems, some films that I would really highlight in the last decade or so as being some of the most impressive I've seen in a long time. But I think those are just like three or four examples in a vast sea of many motion pictures that got released over the year rather, that weren't uh, incredible. I felt like I wasn't really that impressed with the majority of the movies.
Look, I agree with you. I think the year was, let's say, mediocre. There were some really great movies. I think most of them were captured, or some of them were captured in the list of Best Picture throughout all the award ceremonies. But overall, I think it was quite mediocre. I think we're still recovering from that double whammy of COVID plus the writer's strike. Also, some titles that we were expecting, like the new Paul Thomas Anderson movie and Quentin Tarantino's. Obviously, we were excited about them, and they didn't get released. But yeah, overall, I think the year wasn't great, wasn't stellar, especially after the great year we had in 2023. I I don't know. I don't know what to expect about 2025, but we'll get to there in a bit. So to highlight the movies that made 2024, I think it's best we take a deep dive and see what the Academy chose, and if we do agree with them or not. And the first category is Best Adapted Screenplay. Now, I think this category is quite poor. I know you'll disagree with me. Out of all the nominees, I think only one, and the one I'm predicting to win, Conclave, deserves to be there. And there are some notable omissions. But I'd like to hear it from you.
Yeah, I mean, out of all the films that I'm looking at right now on the list, there's only one that I've not seen, Nickel Boys, which apparently seems to be a great film and adapted from also great source material as well. Um, and so I'm sad to say that I haven't seen possibly one of the most important in this category. However, I would say that perhaps out of this list, on top of Conclave, which I agree with you is definitely probably the most deserving one and perhaps the certified winner. One other that I would say is quite impressive, I thought, was Sing Sing, and I just can't stop praising that film ever since I watched it. I mean, even before I watched it, to be honest, I remember just seeing the trailer, being so impressed by it, and just waiting in anticipation for the day of its release so I could see it. And I think it's always a bit dangerous to go into a movie with high expectations. I remember having that same feeling a few years ago, with this movie called Waves. I remember seeing the trailer, being highly moved by it. I remember even shedding a tear or two, just being like super engrossed by it all. And then going to the cinema and just being highly disappointed with it, even though the film got good reviews and I think audiences alike, I think, kind of enjoyed it. But I didn't like it at all. And so with Sing Sing, I was scared that I would perhaps feel the same way. But actually, it turned out to be my favorite film of the year. So for me, looking at that particular movie on this list, I would love it to have like a fighting chance. But I just know that given what we've seen from many award ceremonies over the years, and also how good
Here.
yeah, over this year rather, and how amazing Conclave
Yeah.
is as a film, it's difficult to make arguments against it.
Let me pick up on Sing Sing because for those of you watching or listening to us, it's the kind of movie I know you like, and the kind of movie that I really have absolutely no interest in seeing, and that's okay. I just think that it's the kind of feel good, inspirational movie that you enjoy. Um, and it was for some time, I think, until summer, the front runner. Everybody was betting on Sing Sing to win Best Picture. But it's a movie. I mean, if I had to ask you to convince me to watch it based on the two nominations or the two above the line nominations that the movie has, Coleman Domingo Best Leading Actor and Best Adapted Screenplay, what is it that makes or made the movie so great for you to even consider it the best of the year?
I mean, I just think overall for any person who's a cinema lover, that right away makes you by default a culture lover, right? Even if you're specific to that medium,
Yes.
you're very much a fan of motion pictures and whatnot, and culture by again by default. And the movie really revolves around the importance that culture, and in particular in this film, the creative arts, theater, and whatnot, the importance of that in one's life. So the idea revolving around the notion that art saves, culture saves, I think is quite powerful, and it's one of the main reasons why I fell in love with movies in the first place. I think cinema has helped shape who I am. It has allowed me to learn ways to deal with the world around me, with my own emotions as well. Even if I'm just looking inside in my own little bubble. Again, movies put me in that right minded frame that allow me to sort of like go deep into these aspects of who I am as a person. And I think that's quite beautiful. And I think that the movie really revolves around some of those things. The performances are great as well, all around. I mean, I don't think there's a single actor in this cast that misses a beat. And, mind you, a lot of these actors are, former prisoners themselves, people who've been to Sing Sing, the prison in New York. And I think that's also quite cool to see. I think it just adds to the element of it.
Very sure.
Yeah, I would say those are some of the main things.
Okay. No, taken. Now back to Conclave as my predicted winner. I agree with you, and I think we are aligned with it being the front runner. Peter Strogan really was able to transform a pulpy novel that in someone else's hands would have been a title akin to 1982's Monsignor, starring Christopher Reeve. I don't know if you've seen that one.
No, I'm familiar with it.
Yeah, you should watch it. And I think it transformed and elevated it to something more that transcends religion, that transcends one's beliefs, and how religion, or at least the Catholic Church, is still aligned with the world in terms of how they operate. Not going to elaborate on that topic, but I think he did something really fantastic with the script and just elevating something that was fiction, like not fiction but described as fiction, and to transform it into something really, really great and tangible with that guided Edward Berger into making this fantastic movie is nothing short of a feat. So I'm very bullish on this one. Less so on two other nominees, and let's start the bashing. If it were up to me, two titles, A Complete Unknown and Emilia Perez, would be completely shut down of every single nomination they received. And we'll get to Bob Dylan in a bit. But I think this list is lacking two key nominees, and that's Denis Villeneuve for Dune Part 2, and the way he continues to transform the words of Frank Herbert into something that is actually tangible.
Yeah.
And also the script for I'm Still Here, which I absolutely loved. And I think, again, even though it's a biography, it's the source material, it lends itself to, it couldn't be adapted by just anyone. You need to have like a strong sense to find out what's relevant, what isn't. Everything is relevant, but in a short period of time, what can we show without showing disrespect to these people that went through so much? So these are the two ones that I think are missing. I would, like I said, I'll leave Nickel Boys and Sing Sing, and just because I know we need diversity in terms of the movies that we recognize, but these two would completely replace the two I just mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, I would tend to agree with the two choices that you've made in terms of being deserving of making part of this list. it would be difficult in some ways to remove two of them. Emilia Perez for sure I would take out. and I didn't dislike Emilia Perez.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a
Yeah, but I didn't dislike it at all. I
against.
just don't think it's deserving of the credit that's been receiving so far. I think it's a bold film.
We'll get to that. We'll get
yeah,
to
but I would take that one out. A complete unknown. I will say this: I had a really good time watching it on the big screen. I was really fascinated by it. I thought it was quite cool that they chose that very specific time of Bob Dylan. I think is very interesting. And to someone like me who knows very little about him, I came out of the theater a lot more educated. And mind you, I had a little add-on to this experience because I went to see it with a really good friend of mine from work who's a musician himself. And whose biggest inspiration is Bob Dylan. So like the guy is he's an absolute walking
Dylan head.
100%. So it was really nice to hear his feedback after the film because he kept saying, these things were really well made. They could have talked about this. So he had really constructive feedback. For the most part, he was very pleased with it. And I just kept asking him to add little caveats to what we had just seen. And so that just made the whole thing a lot more enjoyable. And so I thought it was quite cool. I really enjoyed it. And I wouldn't mind keeping it on this list.
So it's part of you think the script really made the movie?
To a degree, yes. I mean, obviously, Timothy's performance is also really good. It kind of carries the film.
We'll get to those ones,
but yeah,
the script.
But the script I thought was quite cool, and it's a very fascinating part of Dylan's life and career, and it really kind of sets the tone for someone like me to fully understand his journey. I guess the musician that we all know.
Well, I'll offer my comments at a later stage. So our prediction in this category is Conclave.
Yes.
Moving on to Best Supporting Actor. We have a succession moment here with Kieran Culkin and Jeremy Strong going against each other again. It's quite a strong list. There's only one name I would remove, and that's because I don't care much for Edward Norton, nor the character he plays, Pete Seeger. Pete Seeger, not him as Pete Seeger in the movie, although that may help. I think this is one of the strongest categories I've seen, one of the strongest lineups.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you have Yuda Borisov, who, spoiler alert, totally makes Honora, besides Mikey Madison. I think who would expect? I didn't. I wasn't expecting the whole angle of that character. It caught me off guard.
No, not at all.
Right?
Yeah.
And he's great. I think there was maybe a bit of a backlash because him being Russian.
He's a complete unknown.
He's a guy.
Yeah. But that's, I think, what made it also part of his character a lot more enjoyable as well, because I didn't see it coming.
And yes, because it's not a famous name that you'd say, wait a minute, this guy must be up to something, right?
Exactly.
No, I think Yuda Borisov definitely deserves to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy Strong, again, I liked The Apprentice. I dare to say I liked it very much. There are plenty of flaws. But as Roy Cohn, as the force that helped to shape the former and now president of the United States, Donald Trump, and as a take on the evolution of the system regarding of politics, because he was a registered Democrat for many years, or political affiliation, that's the point. I think he brings that seriousness that we've come to know and to expect from him to a character that had a very dark side, to say the least.
Right.
And so I think Jeremy Strong, like, really, really great, and definitely a driving force in that movie.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, with both your takes on those two. I mean, it's so funny because I look at this list, and for me, there's a particular omission.
I was going to get to that, but
no, but hold on, but let me get to this. So there's an omission here for me, and when I was trying to see who I would take out to put that one in, I would have no idea who that person would be, just because all of them are incredibly impressive, and including Edward Norton, which I know you didn't love, but But actually, I thought he was really good. He was one of the best things about Complete Renown. And it's interesting because I didn't know much about Peter Seeger. I had no clue about how much of an influence he was on Bob Dylan and whatnot.
And intervention music.
Exactly. And so again, I think talking to this friend of mine after we saw the film really added to me appreciating Edward Norton's portrayal. Now, with the two ones that you specifically mentioned, I mean, Jeremy Strong, for one, doing Roy Cohn, I think it's quite impressive. And I've seen, not that long ago, Al Pacino do
Angels in America.
Angels in America.
I haven't seen that one yet.
So I thought that was a great take. There's also an Angels in America stage rendition. So we've been able to see different variations of very well-known actors do the role. But I actually would probably be more inclined to say that Jeremy Strong was the best out of the ones that I've seen. I thought he was so ruthless, so intense, and all these little mannerisms, the speed of the dialogue, the use of specific words, his body language, I just thought was so on point, and the chemistry that he was able to build with Sebastian Stan in that film really made it work for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have to agree with most of what you said about Yuta Borisov and Anora, because he delivers some of the best moments in the film, some real huge scenes, along also with Mikey Madison, who's definitely the highlight.
For sure. I would definitely then moving on to Guy Pearce, whom I thought was great in The Brutalist. I think he offers that contrast and the struggle that's a key element of the movie, in my opinion, of the self-made man versus the educated scholar. And I think he captures what a performance. I don't think I've seen many Guy Pearce movies. I think but the one I enjoyed the most is LA Confidential. He was incredible in this movie. I think if we didn't have the next person we're going to talk about, he would be the one winning, because I think he was simply fantastic. That fake warmth, that compassion, but then again, look, I don't care about you.
Yeah.
And I think he was critical and instrumental, like the other nominee, Felicity Jones, in making The Brutalist such a great film. And we're gonna leave some of the scenes out.
I'm not sure if I agree with you with Felicity Jones, but
fine.
Sure, we'll get it.
It's the Claire Foy moment again.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, cool. Before we get to the winner that we know, I just like to say that if I had to replace someone on this list, it would be Edward Norton, and I would replace him with Stanley Tucci from Conclave, because I thought he was great as both a companion and almost voice of conscience to Ralph Fiennes, whom we've seen almost very close. Remember at that point. So I would actually add him. I don't know if there's anyone you would add to or remove.
I would love to add Clarence Macklin from Sing Sing into the list, but I find it really hard to take any of these people out. I just can't. It's a really strong list.
It is, and I think it's made stronger with the presumed winner, Kieran Culkin.
Yeah,
whom from wetting the bed as Fuller in Home Alone, to Succession Emmy-winning role, and now future Oscar winner. And he's had quite a career and outshining his brother. But look, Kieran Culkin was fantastic. I know I'm repeating this word, but this category is filled with so many fantastic performances, and he brings that aloof quality that we've seen in Succession, much like Jeremy Strong did in The Apprentice.
Yeah,
and he gets it, because in a way he's doing the same but different. Same but different. Because in Succession it was like, I'm rich, I'm spoiled, and I have no limits. Here is, I'm goofy, but this is my way of dealing with grief. And I think if Jesse Eisenberg is the yin, then Kieran Culkin is the yang. And I think the movie, Real Pain, is a succession of moments. With some fun. It was a succession of moments where pretty much you're seeing something really politically incorrect or inadequate, more inadequate than it is and politically correct, and you're like, this can't work, and somehow he pulls it through, and everybody's on board. And I think it's terrific. He manages to do that for the whole duration of the film in almost every single scene.
It's
And
very aligned with Jesse's own personality, it seems, because he feels very inadequate and a bit of a
true. So they're pretty much playing themselves, maybe.
It's very natural. Yeah. I would say so. There's only one pet peeve that I have with Kieran Culkin in this category, which obviously is up for debate. But I would see him more as an actor in a leading role, to be honest, in that film. I know
Yeah,
it feels to me that they copped out and just said, this is our best chance at getting any awards because they know who's going to get the leading role.
yeah.
Because I very much see Kieran Culkin as a lead character.
Cool, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, sometimes it's up to the politics. Oh, yeah, sorry, I was saying chances of winning. So our predicted winner,
Yeah, Kieran Culkin.
Kieran Culkin. And now we move to Best Supporting Actress. Let me warm up the guns.
Pull out the list here. Oh my god.
Let me just say that there are two names that are missing from this list, and that's Margaret Qualley in The Substance and Jamie Lee Curtis in The Last Showgirl. And finally, a performance that would be Oscar worthy, not that bullcrap that we got sold a couple of years ago with the movie about the, Marvel A24. That's Marvel. Yeah, that everybody loves.
Loved it.
Yes, I know. And so these are the two names I would add to the list. I'm almost like, I look at this list and I can't stop laughing because I know you're going to defend the potential winner, Zoe Saldana. Let's start with her.
100%. She's for me the only amazing thing about Emilia Perez. I think the movie is as I mentioned before, and we can't just keep skipping. Oh, we'll talk about that later.
No, it's not about that now.
Yeah, so I just think there's so many elements to that film that I don't think are quite at Oscar level. I think she is. I thought she was. Have you seen the film?
No, I pulled a Jacques Audiard because he took us to know anything. No, so the highlights. I tried to watch it twice, but I fell asleep. Oh, no. I'm qualified. It's Jacques Audiard is qualified to make a movie about Mexico without doing some research. No, I've seen the highlights and I tried to watch it twice.
He's talked about it previously. I don't think that takes away the fact that he's done a decent film. That doesn't disqualify anyone of doing anything, because as he said, his take was not to do like a realistic version of Mexico, whatever. It's his vision. It's his wacky world. The whole film itself is very much out there. I didn't take it anything literally. So I don't think that's the main issue with the film. I don't really care about how, the representation works or not, because it's so
Interesting.
Because it's all in his head. I think it's his wacky vision.
That's a very biased view, man. That's very biased, because if someone else were to do that, Jacques Audiard, he has like.
I don't care.
So you don't care, right?
It's nothing to do with. I just care about the final part. If I see something that entertains me, that I think is quite a good thing to see. So anyway.
But you are aware he didn't make a movie. He made a political message that followed the exact same. Like, he tried to make something that would win awards, and let me tell you why. He made a movie that was like, that this is the current political stage, so I'm going to make something that's provocative, and we're going to push it into film festivals. Then it's going to trickle down into liberal fans. We're going to write raving reviews about the movie.
But they didn't.
No, they did. No, up until the backlash started, and then you start to see people by letterbox everywhere going, they sounded like trucks, man.
No, that's not true.
Backtracking everything.
That's not true, man. And I kept close tabs on that because I saw a pre-screening of it before it came out.
I'm sorry for you.
I spoke to lots of people in that room who all had mixed feelings about it. I saw the reviews also come out for a film that got 13 nominations. It had an averagely positive score on Rotten Tomatoes way before the backlash started. I mean, there was already quite a lot of noise being made.
In Cannes, it was before it got the official release. After winning, all three actresses winning in Cannes, it was praised.
I don't know about Cannes. I can't remember what the reaction was to that particular festival. You're saying it got rave reviews. I'm saying that for the most part, what we've seen before the backlash on IMDb, on Rotten Tomatoes, both the critic reviews and the audience's scores. The audience's score, by the way, is super low, and this is way before all the backlash started.
No, there was a lot of backtrack that put it.
It was already. I'm telling you, I was seeing these things as they unfolded as well. Also because I had a keen eye on it as someone who had seen the film,
Fair enough.
who also had positive reviews. But even then, and I remember seeing this with a good friend of mine, and she was already feeling quite fishy about it. And I was like, actually, I didn't mind it. I thought it was quite nice. But I thought it would stick to that, like being a nice film that I would not necessarily recommend to anyone. I would definitely never put it up for awards. The only thing that I thought at the time was really well worth your time in the film was seeing Zoe Saldana,
Okay.
especially because I don't think you get to see her. I always had an impression or an idea that she was capable of much more, and we only got to see glimpses of that in very small things. And so for me, to have her have this platform, I thought was quite cool. Unfortunately, I think she deserved better, but nonetheless, it is still giving her a chance to win the Oscar, which I think she will, but also because her competition is very weak. This is one of the weakest categories in the whole.
Look, I agree. I agree. I think, look, you saw Wicked, and I don't care much for musicals. I worked 2.5 years next to where it's playing here in London, and I never even felt remotely interested in seeing it. Back to and tying Wicked. At least there are some, like the song Defying Gravity. I think it's a cool song.
Yeah.
I think it's a cool track. But if you are going to praise or at least say, oh, something about an experimental musical, and I'm reminded of that TV show from the 90s, Cop Rock, which a time when people have common sense. Yeah. But that was a very experimental and everybody trashed it. This is like Jim Cameron going fantastic, beautiful. Man, you need to spend less time underwater because it's getting to your brain. But the point is, how do you make a musical where every single song sucks?
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I think a lot of people have issues with the songs that are spoken rather than sang. And I get that. And not every song landed with me. There were 2 or 3 songs that I thought were really cool, and the choreographies were quite nice, and the acting within the choreography was quite nice. I think you're being.
I am, but I have to be. Otherwise, it would be all praising and we wouldn't get used. But speaking of Wicked, so Ariana Grande, I never thought I'd live in a world where I had to say Academy Award nominee actress Ariana Grande, but here we are as Alfalfa. Or no, she doesn't play Alfalfa, she plays Glenda.
Yeah,
or Glenda.
Glenda.
Okay.
Hey, your name straight. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's great. I honestly, I will say that I went to see Wicked the musical before I watched the film, just a couple months before.
Yes.
And I wasn't too impressed with the musical, even though, I love the Wizard of Oz world and the sort of like spin-off tales.
Yes.
And so I like all that stuff. And my wife, she really liked Wicked. She saw a production in the US. We saw the one here in the UK. She came with me and she was like, actually, this pales in comparison to the US version. It's going to be a lot, like the one that I saw was a lot better. And I was like, okay. And then I went to see the movie, sort of like giving her the benefit of the doubt and hoping that some of the elements that you see in the big screen might be able to lift the story up. Man, they did. And the cool thing about it was, running at like 2 hours and 30 minutes, I think, and just telling half the story, I thought these guys are going to they're going to milk this. And they're going to make it perhaps a bit boring or a bit, I don't know. Basically, they could have avoided all this stuff, but obviously they're trying to again, milk it. But actually, I thought it worked really well. I never felt bored, never felt like they were stretching it. I thought every piece of music or dancing or acting, the casting, all that stuff, I thought everything was so on point. I came out of the cinema absolutely thrilled and excited and happy, and I absolutely loved it. And I guess part of it was also because of the element of surprise. I didn't expect to love it that much.
With Ariana Grande as well?
Well, she was fantastic. And some people, I've spoken to some people about Ariana Grande because I did say, yeah, I didn't know much about her. I've seen her on a couple of SNL sketches, and I always thought her comedic timing was on point. She was always great, and she's quite funny when she does her impressions as well and stuff. So I actually think she's kind of talented, but I've never seen her prove for sure how capable she was. And some people who grew up with her on like these Nickelodeon shows and whatever, they all said actually Ariana Grande back when she was very young, everyone said that she was far more talented that you would give her recognition for.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a surprise to the two of us, I guess.
Yeah.
But not to a lot of people. And I think she absolutely deserved it for Wicked.
Fair enough. Look, again, it's I think also people praise the visuals, etc. I think they're looked on par with Megalopolis, to be fair. So you cannot trash one and praise the other. But that's another story.
No.
But okay, so Ariana Grande, we think she deserves to be here. If we move to Isabella Rossellini, it's a career award nomination. I think. Look,
she's good.
She's good, especially as the only female character, or with some expression. Well, let's not spoil anything. But the only female character with an expression, with a voice, and I think she's good. She reminds me of Judi Dench and Beatrice Straight in Network, who both won with minimal screen time. So look, if the Academy decides to pull a complete shutdown of,
they won't.
They would give it to her. I wouldn't be upset with giving it to her. I think she's great. She has never been nominated, and she's just she's Hollywood royalty.
Yeah.
But beyond that, she delivered so many great roles throughout the years. And I think she does stand out in this movie. Even the short period of time she's in it, she does stand out. But yes, if you would have to pressure me, I would probably say, look, it's just a couple of minutes. Let's revisit this. But what do you think about Isabella Rossellini?
No, same. I mean, she's part of the string of 3 actresses from this list that I would have no problem taking for like a Margaret O'Qualley, for instance, or I mean Jamie Lee Curtis. I won't name it because I have not seen the film yet.
Fair enough.
But given what I've heard so far about her portrayal in that film and whatnot, I think maybe that would be justifiable. But yeah, I mean, minimal screen time, as you said. I mean, she does have a really powerful scene, which I thought was terrific and really added some flavor to that period in the film as well. It was just like as the tension was building quite a lot, so it was quite cool to see her in that moment. But I would agree with you that this is pretty much like a recognition, a nomination than anything else.
And like they did it with Paul Newman and The Color of Money and some other actors that get nominated and win for the wrong movie. I have no problems with her being here, but we need to be real about the merit of, we're not questioning the merits of the performance as we stated. It's just pretty much the screen time.
Yeah.
I think if we look at Felicity Jones, on the other hand, this is a clarify moment where I would actually think, I think she, as an actress and playing Elizabeth, she's terrific because she's quiet, and again, spoilers, until she isn't. And it's that, pretty much like Yura Borisov, I wasn't expecting that turn, that arc, that evolution. And to me, that caught me by surprise. And she's just like every time trying to make her husband feel better. Obviously, we can only imagine what she went through as her husband was able to move to America after the war, and she didn't. All those things that are going through her mind, the disability she has, everything. I think it's terrific. Not the disability itself, but just the subtext of the character. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to argue too much on her. I mean, my issue with her, and perhaps part of the reason why I didn't love her performance in some respects, is because maybe she was drowned a little bit by Adrian Brody and Guy Pearce. I think the fact that the two of them just are incredible to watch makes everything else look a bit flat by comparison. But also, I don't know, I think there are 2 moments in that film where she's sort of like the centerpiece to it all.
Yeah.
That I thought were either a bit contrived or slightly off. There was something that didn't click with me, and I don't want to go into detail into which scenes those were, but
I don't think we can.
I just don't think I was entirely convinced.
Sure.
I can understand why she would make the list and why people would love her, so I'm not going to say you're crazy for having that opinion. Definitely not. But I've seen so many better performances. I can't remember if it was last year or the year before that where we had like a stacked list of supporting actors, and just like the weakest one would like demolish any of these here right now.
Yeah.
And I know it's a product of the times and whatnot or whatever, that specific period, but I mean, yeah, I just don't think it was that incredible. But then, and just let me, I know, take away from you as the host to move forward. I just think when you look at people like Monica and Felicity and Isabella, I think those three are obviously, for me, probably the weakest links of the category. But even then, I think Felicity, for instance, is above the other two that we just...
Really? So you didn't like Monica as Joan Baez?
I was pretty flat.
Okay.
I was okay with it.
Yeah.
I didn't love it. I think for most people, I think she was a huge surprise, really. I don't think she was getting that much accolades.
No. Yeah. I mean, everybody was expecting Margaret Qualley to be. She's a co-lead in the movie as well. If we had to draw a comparison between Real Pain and The Substance, yeah, I was surprised. I was expecting if Margaret Qualley had been there instead of Monica, I would.
Yeah.
You wouldn't hear me talking too much or a lot about this category.
Yeah.
But so our predictions.
I'm gonna go Zoe Saldana.
Felicity Jones.
Okay. I mean,
Here's going to be the shocker. No, I know Zoe Saldana is going to win, but in my heart, I know it's going to be a complete shutdown. It's going to be historic. It's going to be epic. The best shutdown in history.
very on brand.
I think so. And then we move on to Best International Picture. I think between the two of us, we've seen 4 of the 5 nominees. I don't know if you've seen The Seed of the Sacred Fig.
No,
Beautiful movie.
I've seen 3 of them.
Okay. So I assume the one that's missing is Seed of the Sacred Fig.
And The Girl with the Eagle.
Yeah. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
If she's a tattoo artist, maybe it's something about Torres or her joking. But anyways, The Girl with the Needle. Let's park that. Magnus von Horn for the win. But look, this list.
I mean, let's be honest. We can make this whole category about just the one film and move on.
Yeah,
really, because
Flow is great.
But Flow. We'll get to talk about Flow.
I'm Still Here is fantastic.
I'm Still Here is in a different league.
Yes,
I would say.
And The Seed of the Sacred Fig. I mean,
I've heard you loved it, and I'm very keen to watch.
So we can talk about the film, the movie that's not gonna win. Emilio.
Dude, hold on, but are you that confident that's not gonna win?
Oh, I'm positively confident. Having that moron Jacques Audiard on stage, it's not even gonna win Best Song because they don't want to have him on stage. Who would want that face on stage? Like, I'm already, cringing about Zoe Saldana's political charge acceptance speech. We don't need him. We don't.
Man.
So I don't think it's gonna win. I think it's gonna win. It's gonna be It's Still Here.
You feel so strongly about this.
No, it's a movie, for years I waited for a movie to hate. After we had Hereditary, before that it was Slumdog Millionaire, I think before that even Out of Africa. But now I got something new. And this movie, look, I'm gonna prove it to you that this movie is beautiful. It's not a movie, this movie did a great thing. This is a George Bush of movies. This is a uniter, not a divider. Conservatives and libtards are together, trashing this movie. I found myself agreeing with people on movies, on this movie, and I've never agreed with them before. It's beautiful. It's bringing people together to hate Emilia Perez.
Man, I would love just
to annoy me,
to get you pissed off. I would love this film to get the Oscar. Just for the sheer, I mean, I'm rooting for I'm Still Here for a lot of reasons.
Same.
Because of the Brazil connection. Because I think
it's a brilliant movie.
Because it's a brilliant film. But I would be able to sacrifice all of that just for the pure pettiness
of Sing Me Noise.
And I would love to have like a live camera on you the moment the announcement is made. And for people to stand up, and also, I can picture this: all your heroes like Scorsese getting
their own.
No, Scorsese just getting
all those wokies,
Joe Pesci and stuff. All these guys coming out, just like showing up. They're not even there. Like they just show up out of nowhere.
Everybody that I like,
slow clap.
Jay Hill whistling,
that.
Scorsese going like this,
I would love
Tarantino going, yeah.
That would be one of the happiest moments of my life.
Yes, I would probably, there probably wouldn't be an 8th year of us carrying the Oscars. But no, look, I just don't think this movie, like I said, I was, back to your point, and maybe I'm basing it on a smaller sample. I saw so many people just going like, 4 stars, and then backtracking. This is where I'm coming from. And edits. And I'm not talking about your review. I'm talking about other people that were like, well, actually, there are some problems with this, but overall, and I'm like, like, honestly, you already established, I think we're on the same page. You like the movie, and fine, look. But I just don't, I think people are giving way too much credit to this guy from being innovative. This is like a full feature expanded or expansion of Springtime for Hitler from the producers. It looks like he was trying to, let's forget my theory of him making something political to win awards because potential Trump victory back then. Let's focus on, I think he's just taking the piss and like, this is good. And the audiences are like, but it didn't pan out. I think this is like a producer's moment where you got this guy, and I saw a fantastic pun in Portuguese based on another title, Tanto Bater o Meu Coração Parou. And I loved it. Because this, there's experimental, Megalopolis, good. And then, I can wind you up too, man. And then there's this, and fine.
Hold on, do you, just to get something clear.
Oh, exactly.
No.
I tried to watch it, by the way.
No. So are you, because I always feel that a lot of these personal takes are often made before you even get to see stuff, based on who's behind it. And I'm just curious, what's your relationship with Jacques Audiard?
I didn't even know what the Jacques Audiard was until this Cannes Film Festival.
So you've not seen a film done by him?
And I won't. But yeah, no, I've never seen.
So you've never seen a Prophet?
No.
Okay.
I've never seen anything from him, and it's hard. Never popped up. No, zero. And
those are great films.
Fantastic. I've never heard what the Jacques Audiard is, what he does. Now I know. But look, it never really popped up on my radar. It's not like, oh, Robert Eggers, oh, you went out of your way, you know.
But I remember specifically Un Prophète just made a lot of noise because it was a great film that came out. Did it win any awards?
No, I don't know. I don't recall.
If I would be inclined to say yes, but I don't want to make that mistake.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact that it gained like a cult status, even within outside of France and whatnot. I think with American viewers, English viewers and whatnot. So anyway, I came into it thinking it's a Jacques Audiard film. From the ones that I've seen, he's really good. I really like his stuff. So hopefully this will be the same. And I was a little bit let down in the sense of not being what I expected.
Yes.
But I still appreciated the fact that it was bold, that it was different. Often you and I talk about how, we're just being so lazy with the remakes and the biopics and the Marvel movies and stuff like that. And here we are with you complaining that this guy decided to do something completely out of the box.
But I'm not against out of the box, and the proof that is that I included Megalopolis as part of my top 10.
That's not out of the box. That's just silly. That's just silly,
Fair enough.
willy-nilly.
Silly-nilly. But I like original stuff. I just don't care for something that it has to have quality. And I'm sorry, you guys are. I'm not a musical theater kid. I don't care much for musicals. I watched a couple, but the point is, the songs are not supposed to suck. And I listen, and jeez. That's the key thing when you're making a musical. It's like, and everything using AI and
I like some of the songs. But anyway, okay. Well, listen,
we can skip all these. I'm just gonna say The Seed of the Sacred Fig. Watch it. Great, fantastic movie. 2.5 hours, but it's totally worth it. Slow burner. Heads up. But I think like from all the nominees, with the exception of Emilio Perez and the movie about the paramedic, I don't know, assuming that the girl with the needle does a lot of things. It's gonna be very sad when I read about the movies. I think it's a depressing movie about it. Anyways, I think I'm Still Here is gonna win.
Yeah, so as well. Yeah.
And now we move to the first round of Best Picture nominees. And some of the titles are titles that we already covered.
So, in alphabetical order, Anora. Again, I think this movie, again, it had the frontrunner curse for a long time was, oh, this movie's going to win. This is it after Sing Sing. And then it was September 5. Only the Hollywood Reporter thought it was a frontrunner. It gained momentum. Then it was kind of losing it because of what happened in Venice with The Brutalist. And now it seems to be gaining it again. And I'm actually now inclined to predict it as the winner.
Oh, wow.
Best Picture.
Okay.
It won the Guild Awards, both the director and producer.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that rarely fails. So I'm really thinking that it could win. In fact, now I'm more sure. Not my personal opinion. But I love this movie. There's obviously that controversy about the lack of intimacy coordinators. But if everybody's agreeing with that, I don't see a problem.
It's consensual, right?
Absolutely.
And it's a small crew in comparison that it's these guys know what they're doing. They're communicating. Sean Baker apparently seems to be an actor, like a good director.
Yeah, a respect. Yes, he had respect for the actors. I also think for a guy who bangs his drum or sounds like a one-trick pony covering almost the same topic, he's surprisingly versatile. And that's one thing I admire. And I think the story is very, very now. And it actually, without having ever consorted with the stripper, I think the movie connected with me because the values and the core of it, it's just simply fantastic. And we'll get to Mikey in a bit. But Anora, I mean, it's now the predicted front runner. I think you liked it as well. We already covered Yura Borisov.
I loved it. I mean, I remember getting out of the cinema and just thinking right away, this is one of the, because I looked back at the year thinking, which movies did I give it 5 stars? And by that point, I had seen a ton of them, and only Sing Sing came out for me as a 5-star film. And then another came out, and I was blown away by it. Yeah. And I wasn't too sure what to expect. I didn't think I was going to like it that much. But ultimately, it just became a film that made points or left a mark for being incredibly interesting, gripping, real sort of like, or just a natural easiness for people to connect to the characters, to the story, even though these are realities that are probably not something
the ones we experience.
Exactly. But it's just so easy to empathize and to create that connection. And kudos, I think, to the cast, not just Yuta and particularly Mikey, but even
Mark Eidelstein.
The Russian Timothy Chalamet as well. He was so good. I thought the relationship that he was able to build with Mikey for a lot of those scenes really made it work. And it just and also one thing I really appreciated about this film was that it just had so many layers, because you're laughing out loud side of seas, and then you're tense, you're emotionally basically you just put so much into these characters in the storyline.
Yeah, you're invested. Yes.
Yeah, and I actually there's one scene in particular that, again, I don't want to spoil, so I won't describe it, but I just remember the feeling of seeing something that felt very sinister, very dark, but yet we're all laughing in the cinema room because the setup is so funny.
Yeah.
That you can't stop but laugh. But actually, what you're seeing is pretty damn serious. It's like, this is horrendous. It's a horrendous situation to be in. But it was such a nice way that this was all orchestrated. And I think Sean Baker is really like an amazing architect.
Yeah.
Behind this amazing film.
He's an auteur. And pretty much like the guy behind the next movie, Brady Corbett with The Brutalist. I mean, it's a movie that's I keep saying this. It worked on so many levels. It's the cinematography, the score, and I think everything in it just works. And the story, even for 3.5 hours, I think time flew by. Even with the intermission. Some people have some concerns about the third act. It feels a bit clunky. Some even complain about the second part. Some even complain about the use of AI. But I mean, I tell them go and learn Hungarian, and then we'll talk, because it's a very difficult language. I think, look, AI is used here to assist. And I think the movie, the story it wants to tell, it's pretty clear. So I don't see any issues with the execution. I think it's pretty much, in my opinion, a flawless movie, virtually a flawless movie.
No, I wouldn't call it a flawless movie by any stretch, just because some of the things that you mentioned. I do think that the ending is a bit rushed. I do think that the film is not consistent throughout. The first half is way better than the second half. I'm not saying, and this is no criticism of the second half. I think the second half is still very strong. The second half, but this is almost my way of seeing it. In my mind, it's a 4.5 out of 5, right? Because I think the half point loses because of the how feels
Right.
very rushed, and the lack of consistency between the both parts. However, I do I would recognize that it in many minds, and perhaps in the Academy's minds, when they award it possibly with a Best Picture award, they'll see it as, this incredibly ambitious film that deserves all praise, because Bradley Corbet really went
With 9 million, with
Yeah.
9 million.
exactly. He was able to do the most incredible thing with a very low budget, with a story that as he would describe it, not a lot of people would normally be interested in. To make a very about an architect,
Very true, very true.
he find it very difficult to make it compelling for people to go to the cinema and see it. But he's done it, and he's done it in incredible fashion.
So I think, just to add, I think both Anora and The Brutalist are just two pieces of filmmaking from this year, and also Conclave, though, even though that has a higher budget. That's like, I know the Academy always recognizes a certain type of movie, fantastic, but I think these three movies show that, look, they did okay at the box office, and with a little bit more push, they would have done better. But it's a reminder that you don't need a fortune just to make really comparing storylines. I think if we look at these three movies, Anora, The Brutalist, and Conclave, these are like top 5 for me, all three. Actually top 4, because I included them in that order. And I would add just like the cinematography, because like these three overlap in so many things. You have the cinematography of The Brutalist and Conclave. If I were to pick between the two in a category, I don't know which one would win. Probably The Brutalist has a bit of an edge. The score, both fantastic.
Yeah.
Anora, even with the neon lights, the contrast between night and day, everything is just it's simply terrific. And these people, Edward Berger, Brady Corbett, and Sean Baker did amazing work. Did amazing work with very limited budgets, and I think this is again, all three movies give me hope for the future. Because they are, and Edward Berger is already working on his next one, and Brady Corbett as well,
Yeah.
which apparently is going to be 4 hours long, but it's set in the 70s, and it covers 120 years.
It's a movie as good as good.
Absolutely.
I think no matter how long it is, I mean, we've seen, and also it's so interesting because when The Brutalist came out and people started to see it and acknowledge how great it was, one of the things that I think I read it somewhere, and I think you'll appreciate this, this whole idea of, they don't make movies like they used to. And actually,
Was this my review?
I mean, no. I said it as well, and I've seen it in some other places. I think just this whole idea of, well, he actually did it like the good old days.
Yes.
It really felt, the odd comparison that I hear every now and then is, the epic,
The epic
classic.
David Lean, as that
Ernie, as well.
exactly.
Once Upon a Time in America, those films that spawn like a decade
Generation.
and I thought everything was just so on point, and even the stylistic versions of was it Panavision?
This division.
VistaVision, sorry, Panavision. VistaVision as well, which hadn't been used since the 60s.
50s. Yeah, late 50s, early 60s.
Yeah, so like all these things were very deliberate and just worked really nicely. They don't feel gimmicky at all. They really just add to the atmosphere,
Yes.
look and feel, and remind us again that you can do films like the old days with little
Different
resources,
topics,
exactly,
yeah.
putting emphasis on the storytelling. Again, talking about just being as redundant as just saying it's just about an architect who fled the war. I mean, it's
That's
so much more than that.
Exactly.
And
Even that, look, it's a movie that, granted, it may not capture your attention throughout all 3.5 hours,
but the opening scene gets you, and you're hooked.
I was going to say, and I said this, I was chatting on this, I've been using this online app called Flicked, which we kind of promote
Sponsored.
people. No, I mean, it's really worth using if you haven't. It sort of like goes against Letterboxd a little bit, but promotes a bit more of a dialogue between users. And I was exchanging a couple of notes with someone there about the Brutalist, and the two of us were very much just like focusing a lot of our attention on the opening scene. And I wrote to her basically saying, there were moments where I just wanted to go to a cinema and see it opening and ask the lady, hey, would you mind just allowing me in for the first 10 minutes?
I think they would. I think you would, and they will.
I would hush her, and I feel like I might still do it because being able to see those 10 minutes or whatever, the main entrance, the main start to the film, the opening in the big screen, is just like incredible. It really feels epic
Goosebumps.
on all scales. With from the way it's shot, the soundtrack is absolutely sublime. It just gets me goosebumps. And you're doing this, you're mimicking the thing.
It does.
And it's incredible.
Same, like that scene. I was like, what? Ooh, what?
I don't want to seem inappropriate because also obviously the music is connected to something that is. I might sound a bit out of tune here, or what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, I don't want to seem like I'm out of touch here, but I've been listening to it when I'm at the gym, for example, on the treadmill.
It's fantastic.
And it just makes I'm just traveling away
I know.
in my own mind.
I know.
Just incredibly like in awe of what I'm listening.
And I know we're elaborating a lot on that opening scene, but I don't recall an opening scene that has had that effect on me. I can't think of it because you think about it and it's all there. The reverse angle of the Statue of Liberty that showcases, okay, we're dealing with the movie that deals with the dark side of the American dream.
Yeah.
And just him, just trying to climb and climb. It's like, it's more subtextual and metaphorical than anything, but it's like, wow. I think I really can't recall an opening scene that caught my attention like that.
Not this way. I can remember there are movies that I remember the opening scenes having like these amazing set pieces, and often I go back to like even like big budget films like action movies and whatever, that you just really appreciate the craft that went into doing something like that.
Yes.
And I can't think of, the first thing that came into my mind was like, usually like Mission Impossible have like an opening scene with like great set pieces or whatever. But this is just like a completely different level because again, it's just, a couple of words on a piece of paper describing the scene, the way it's shot very simplistically, very little access to the big budget.
Yes.
So no special effects or
explosions,
that stuff. And you're just like, holy, like this is so good.
Yes.
And so, I would definitely want to revisit that opening scene in the big screen if I can.
Yes.
If I can't, I will definitely watch it on YouTube or whatever, just because.
No, we'll catch it at the Prince Charles Cinema. So
honestly, yeah.
Say Prince Charles.
Absolutely.
I would catch it there, like maybe not now, but when they rerun it in a couple of months, I will go back.
But also, and I know we're going long on this film, but that's the other thing that really surprised me about The Brutalist. Even though I appreciate more a film like Sing Sing, I would give all the flowers I could to Sing Sing. But The Brutalist has evoked in me something that I don't recall feeling in any other movie in a very, very long time, which is the desire to go see it again in the big screen right after I had just seen it. Usually I'm
7 hours out of it.
No, man, because I'm usually the kind of guy who doesn't love watching the same movie multiple times, especially with very little gap in between them.
Yes.
And so with this one, I found it astonishing that for a 3.5-hour film that I had just seen it, and also being as heavy as it is,
Yes.
I would be so ready to jump into this because I thought I'm going to benefit a lot more from the second film.
Oh, yeah. I completely agree. And look, to me, you voted Sing Sing as your favorite movie of the year. I voted The Brutalist. I wanted The Brutalist to win. I expected it to win up until now. If Honora wins, I'm fine with that. I think these three movies really capture the future, if we have to say anything about it. And these would be the three movies that would have been nominated if there were only 5 nominees.
Yeah.
Now, A Complete Unknown, man, I have to tell you, there are things I don't like, special kind of films.
Biopics.
Biopics is one of them. And musical biopics. Look, I was very glad that Maria failed. I'm very glad that all these movies are getting the shaft. Just because, look, just today I read there's a Lionel Richie biopic just has been greenlit. We got the Bee Gees, the Beatles, Michael Jackson. This will only stop, mark my words, when Guy Fieri and Hunter Schafer play Sammy Hagar and David Lee Roth in the Van Halen feud. That's when we'll stop this. Because look, I have a brain and I have eyes and I have somewhat of a good sense. I can read a book, watch a documentary, listen to the albums. And
But hold on, but that's not.
Yes.
Brandon, I understand that, but that's not people. There are a lot of people who don't read or listen to music.
yes. And they need a movie like this to get to know who Bob Dylan was. No.
It's an enjoyable way of also getting to know someone's career or life, whatever. And mind you, a lot of these films often take creative liberties, right? I remember seeing the Miles Davis film with Don Cheadle, and I mean it's a reimagining of a lot of stages of his career in life. So I think that's quite a cool way sometimes to go about it.
Look, fine, but a biopic needs to do something different, and they did it with I'm Not There, 2007. That's a good movie. That shows different stages of career. Now, a blip in the but that's at the execution. If there's a good execution, if the subject matter, like you say, oh, but you liked Oppenheimer.
But the execution is good here. No matter, it's bring by the book.
No. It's
Bring by the numbers.
As it is, I agree with you. It's a safe way of making a motion picture. I totally agree with that. But that doesn't take away the fact that you have all these elements being combined together to do a movie, and they work nicely together. I understand it's a preference of yours, and I'm not going to argue that. I just think that you shouldn't, because it's your own personal preference, you shouldn't be so quick to just put to the side like that. You can say, hey, it's not my thing, but I appreciate how these films are important and they make money and they bring people into the audience.
No, that's the problem. The problem is that these movies, what they do, and I know that show you all like the Bears, SNL reference. I know that the guy is gonna play Bruce Springsteen. And that has actually a negative impact on me. Unlike Emilio Perez, which I don't care and will never impact my life, this has a negative impact.
It does.
Sorry?
It really does. You're very upset. You probably have nightmares.
Nightmares about from penis to vagina. Look, I have, this annoys me. And this actually impacts me negatively, in a negative way, because these people go to the movies and then, oh, let's buy Highway 61 or Blonde on Blonde or Nebraska in the case of Bruce Springsteen, and we'll display vinyl records as decoration. And that drives up the prices, and I get to pay more for music I listen. It is true. It is true. These people, they see this, and they're like, well, now I'm familiar with Bob Dylan and Highway 61 and all the classics. Yes, Bob Dylan. So yeah, look, I think it's a personal preference at the end of the day, and you're right. But these movies, they just take up screen time. And look, if people need this to get a bit more culture, fine, let them have it. But from an execution standpoint, they play it safe. They add nothing new. You can read a book. You can do something else. And not even Bob Dylan cares this much about Bob Dylan. And all the people that care about Bob Dylan are pretty much in the Academy.
But he enjoyed the film. He had high praise for it. And he thought the emoji was good. He was really good in it as well. I also like see it. I see him have these platforms as well to showcase his talent. I think it's pretty good.
Good. And finally, we wrap up this first half of the list with Dune Part 2. I think the Academy is pulling it like what they did with Lord of the Rings, because there's a third part already greenlit and starting production in the coming months. I think they're saving themselves for Dune Messiah if it is any good. So the movie just got 5 nominations. I was expecting a bit more, especially on the technical below-the-line nominations.
Yeah.
I have to say, I continue to like what Denis Villeneuve is doing. I think he's a great credit to science fiction. He already was before, up until 2015 when he did Sicario. So I think he's just a great filmmaker and he knows what looks good on camera. So I'm a very big fan. I love what he did with Dune Part 2, which is actually much like the movies these days, just a continuation of what happened and not a sequel per se. I think we'll need to test the waters with the Dune Messiah. I hear that Gareth Edwards has been already signed up for Dune Part 4, which is Children of Dune or something like that.
He's good though. I mean, and also if Denis is still involved in some way, but
I don't think I will.
because then you would at least have like a layer of like a safety net, so to speak, to guarantee that the film would be good. But I kind of like him. I don't think all of his movies are great, but I think him as a director is he's a strong one. I think.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind too much. But yeah, I do think that Dune 2 was very strong. I already loved Dune 1, and we saw
that together.
and I'm happy to see it in the best nominations. They would definitely be featured in the list for me.
You included in your top 10.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. And yeah, I'm not sure how far ahead am I able to actually comment because, looking at the list, but we're gonna leave it later.